Welcome to the Love of the Star podcast, which Peyton Russell is recording this time. I am Bobby Belt, Dallas Cowboys insider for 105 through the Fan in Dallas. That is your radio flagship, home of America's team. Joined as always by former Super Bowl winning NFL scout Brian Broaddus. He is now the co-host of the G-Bag Nation, 2 to 7 p.m. Central, Monday through Friday on 105 through the Fan. He is also the pre- and post-game co-host on the Dallas Cowboys radio network and preseason color analyst for the Dallas Cowboys radio network. Brian, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Robert. Why do you hate winning in the NFL?
I don't hate winning in the NFL.
I can't believe I work with somebody that hates winning in the NFL like you do.
I don't hate it. I think that we need to have a little bit of context. Not every victory is the same. It's not as simple as win-loss on the ledger for me, Brian. Before we get any further, though, into that win-loss, which we'll talk about Houston-Dallas, we'll talk about T.Y. Hilton, we'll go to the Dean Julia Love the Star mailbag at the end of the episode. But before that, it's a birthday for Brian Broaddus.
Brian, how about that?
We're what, 59 years old?
59 years old, man.
59.
I'm trying to get to the lake, man. You folks won't let me get to the lake.
Which lake will it be? Which lake will it be?
Lake Echo out in East Texas out there. And yeah, it's a private bass lake. I'll just get away from all my Twitter followers and anybody that wants to talk football. No, I'm not serious about that. No, I'm just trying, man. But you cats won't let me get away. You guys won't let me leave this thing. So I'll keep working as long as you guys keep liking what Bobby and I are doing.
Yeah,
and the people at Odyssey will keep me around, and all the 7 things you see I do now that you say before we even do all this show. But
yeah,
thank you for the happy birthday wishes, everybody. I love you. I appreciate you. I really, really, really do. I had a piece of key lime pie before I came on the air.
Oh, that's your favorite.
I feel great. I feel great right now.
Key lime pie is your favorite. I know
that's my favorite. Yep.
No, you know what, guys? So yeah, just be sure to go to Boomer Jacks. Be sure to subscribe, download everything like that. So we can send Brian to Lake Echo.
Yeah,
that's what he needs. All right, Brian. So you're giving me hell already for not celebrating.
You hate winning in the NFL. I can't believe that I work with somebody. As I said before, I cannot believe that I work with a human being that hates winning in the NFL more than you.
I don't hate it. Here's the thing that I hate. I hate struggling against a 1-10-1 football team that even if you were off, you should have beaten by 14
17.
Points.
Yeah, like
easy.
Like Vegas was, you know what? Vegas had a bad week, and they were wrong about the Cowboys, and they were right about the Detroit Lions.
Yes,
they were right about the Lions. By the way, I'm glad the Cowboys don't have to play the Lions anytime soon. Lions,
that would not
Cincinnati. Yeah, glad
they caught them at the right time. Apparently, they caught the world-beating Houston Texans at the wrong time. Which honestly, look, here's the way I look at this, Bride. The Giants.
Whatever way you look at it, it's not right. But go ahead.
No, here's the deal. Giants game, slow start, but ultimately, I think you played better than the Giants for that game. You should have won that game. Colts game. Again, you let him hang around a little bit, but you played better than the Colts in that game.
Historic fourth quarter, right?
This game here against the Texans, you did not play like the best football team on the field. The Texans, I think, outplayed you. And at least will you come that far with me, Brian, that the Texans should have won this football game?
No, they shouldn't have won the game
because
they're 1-10-1. There's no way. You saw what the Texans were.
But let's say
they gave up a 98-yard drive. That's what the Texans are.
Let's say this is week 1 before we know who these teams are. You just see what you see for 4 quarters. You go, the Texans are a better football team. That's what you would have said.
Are 1-10-1 for a reason. They're 1-11-1 right now for a reason. You saw it.
They
saw it. They played cover 2 the whole damn game, and it messed Dak Prescott up until the last 3 minutes of that football game. That's what it was. They got the ball. They get a turnover and they get the ball to your 8. They let Dalton Schultz tackle them on an interception return. By the way, huge play by Dalton Schultz.
Yeah.
Huge play to make that tackle. Now they got the ball inside your 10-yard line, and they run 4 plays and don't score. That's why they're 1-11-1 right now. You know, I'm not saying the Cowboys played great. I'm not. The injuries were a huge concern in that football game. I mean, there were times where it was like, when Steele went out and then Ferguson goes out and then now Diggs is dealing with the thumb, and then Hankins goes out. I mean, wait, Hankins, what a tackle, laying on his back, 4th down. That this guy will not get enough credit for how good he played for you after the trade. Seriously, you're going to miss Hankins, and the report is that it's going to be several weeks is what we're looking at because of the position. But the Texans are the Texans, okay? And I'm sorry you didn't beat them by 17 points in this game. I'm sorry. Did the Cowboys play like ass in a lot of ways? Yeah. Did they? I don't think the 2 starting tackles played particularly well, Bob. I really don't. I don't think. And then, then you lose Steele and they bring Ball in for 28 and he plays bad for 2. I think there was a lot going on. But the Texans played cover 1, they played cover 3, they played a lot of cover 2, played a lot of zone coverage. People that kind of find a way to take advantage of Dak Prescott, what do? They play zone coverage.
Yeah.
But they played every snap on that final drive, they played cover 2, and Dak went tick, 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 tick down the field. He ran the ball one time. Zeke, he made some, the throw he made to Brown and then the throw he made to Schultz, holy jeez.
Yeah.
He wasn't good, but when he had to be good, he was. And it was a Houston Texans, but the Texans got exactly what they deserved. They took an L because they couldn't get off the field and not let somebody drive 98 yards. That's sometimes that's where I'm not apologizing for the Cowboys. I'm telling you, the Texans are bad. That's why they lost that game.
They are.
Just because they didn't lose by 17 points, that doesn't matter to me. What matters is you keep winning. Now, you go out there and you play like, Jacksonville is going to be a different animal now. Jacksonville was when you were doing the one loss, win, loss. Jacksonville was that team I'm thinking, the week before the Philadelphia game, that could be a game that maybe you're looking ahead, Yeah. I don't know. You're going to have to play a lot better against Jacksonville.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you'd have to play a lot better. You would have had to have played a lot better against any of the 30 other teams in the NFL yesterday. Because that's the worst team in the NFL, and you barely beat them. Look, we can talk about that. You came through on the drive and you found a way, but look, we are a Carlos Watkins shoestring tackle and 18 inches away.
Did he make it? Did he make the tackle?
But my point is that that's such a fine line that we have.
Did the Texans try and run some silly reverse option? Like it looked like the quarterback went the wrong way, but. They got, I'm with you. Pierce getting hurt, his ankle hurt in the 3rd helped because Rex Burkhead was in there running the ball when they needed him to win a game. Okay, Rex Burkhead trying to win a game for you? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Rex Burkhead family who lives in Texas. I'm sorry, but hey, there's a reason why the Texans are 1-11-1.
There is. And before we get into some of your film takeaways, let's quickly recap some of those injuries. Jonathan Hankins obviously out several weeks with that pec strain. Terrence
that's
Steele,
a tough one. Steele's done with the ACL. That's
torn ACL. Steele is out for the year. That'll be interesting because you're probably right now, given when it is December, you're looking at probably into training camp next year. You might still be rehabbing that.
Britt Brown will get people back if you're willing. If you're willing to work hard, Britt Brown will get you right. He is one of the best in the National Football League when it comes to that rehab stuff.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And but even still, like we saw, Chris Godwin. Now, obviously, receiver's a different position, but Chris Godwin, Michael Gallup, these were guys who took 10 months. We're talking about OBJ on month 11 and things like that. And so those will be.
It's going to take some time.
That'll be interesting things to watch. We do have the Trayvon Diggs, the thumb injuries. Jake Ferguson apparently dealing with a concussion. Dorrance Armstrong, an ankle. It sounds like Armstrong is at least has got a shot to play this week against Jacksonville if you listen to Mike McCarthy. But either way, absolutely decimated by injuries. That's not even mentioning Jaron Kearse, who had a scare before kickoff. Ultimately, played the most snaps on defense, but he's been banged up all year. And I swear, Brian, I don't know if you saw this on tape.
You're going to say Micah Parsons is banged up too, aren't you?
Does he not look hobbled? Or do you just think he's not playing well? Because I saw times there was a play where, and I can't remember when it was, third quarter, I think, Driscoll's like going off to the right sideline, and Micah Parsons has the angle on him, and he couldn't beat him. He couldn't beat Driscoll to the sideline. And I know Driscoll's a decent athlete, but Micah Parsons is a 4-3 guy. Like, and we always see him make those plays. We always talk about how quickly he gets there, and it feels like he's hobbled a little bit or something. That he doesn't have that same burst. It doesn't seem like.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a long but productive season for him. But here we are, man. This team, the last couple of weeks, what have we talked about? Penalties and run defense.
Mm-hmm.
Things seem to be working out all right with penalties and run defense right now. But to your point, there's guys that are banged up, and we're in the middle of December, and you got to find a way. They're going to be I'm going to call Jacksonville as a tough game. They've got 4 tough games coming up, and who knows what's going to happen with the seeding. You lose to the Eagles, then that turns in you're playing for the 5th seed. That turns into automatically 5th seed, and then, but I'm going to say this: the damn Commanders are going to be playing for something in that last week.
Yep.
The Commanders. So now all of a sudden, are you going to be able to rest? Are you playing for something? This is the things that you. This is why the Green Bay loss sucks so bad right now for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Because your margins are really slim right now. Your margins are very slim, and I think that's kind of where you're at. But to talk about Parsons, how do you buy him time? How do you buy him? Do you buy him? Like, is he not going to practice all week? I mean, how do you buy him opportunities to heal up? He plays at such a high motor that he knows no other way, but then you're right. He looks a little compromised, but I saw several of the plays he was rushing on. It's against Laramie Tunsil, and Tunsil to me,
great. He is
like is their best blocker.
Yeah.
That's their best blocker right there. So matchups, they look for matchups. They try and find matchups. And, but he was going against one of the better left tackles in the league. And I think that's, if you're not 110%, it's going to be a problem. I mean, everybody's banged up, but I think you're right. I think there's a little bit of, they've taken a pound of flesh from him so far. This season has taken that, and hopefully when when the calendar turns to January, that that he can ratchet it back up and be ready to go.
We look at this game yesterday. It's funny. I think it was difficult to pick out guys who necessarily played like really excellent, because overall it was
Van Der Esch.
I was about to say the one guy I think stood out as consistently being really good yesterday was Leighton Vander Esch. Leighton Vander Esch was fantastic.
Perfect game for Leighton Vander Esch. They're going to try and run the ball. There's maybe not a lot of skill, even though they made some plays on the outside. I mean, give them some credit for that. But yeah, it was going to turn into how much were you going to be able to control what was going on with the Texans running game. And I think Pierce had like 70-something yards. He had a 24-yard run on one of them.
Yep.
Other than that, I think it was 22 carries for 54 yards.
Yep.
I'm like, I'll take that all day. They've been playing a lot better run defense, and a lot of it has to do with a guy like Leighton Vander Esch and the way he's played. I thought Barr played well yesterday. Barr to me has always been a kind of a 50-50 guy, but I didn't feel like, I'm like, man, these guys did a great job on that goal line defense staying home. Watkins was a guy that really, didn't show much in the game. And all of a sudden those final 4 plays on defense, he was like friggin' Aaron Donald playing in there. There are some guys that on that goal line, if you want to make a teaching tape, if Dan Quinn wants to say, this is how you play goal line defense, that was 4 plays that he could put on a teaching tape. The technique, the way the guys got to the football. Tank Lawrence, he reads down block. He knows there's going to be a down block on him. He just knifes through there. tackle for loss.
That for me was the play of the game. The DeMarcus Lawrence stop on 3rd and goal, I think, is the play of the game.
You want to know, to me, and this is going to sound strange, and I mentioned it, Dalton Schultz tackle on the interception.
Yeah, that was
because that could have turned into bad arm hit interception. Everybody's deflated. Oh, damn. Guy runs in. No problem. It's like that weird, there's been is an interception or fumble? It's a pick six. No, it's a touchdown. That could have been guys hustling over to make plays on interceptions or fumbles is not underrated. It is not underrated at all. Those are huge, huge plays.
Yeah, and I know Schultz had the drop touchdown. There was that issue.
I thought he caught the ball well too for the one.
He came up.
I know he had the one.
He came up huge on the final drive. He had he had that tackle on the interception. There were a couple plays where I saw him involved on run blocking where I thought he was good. Dalton Schultz has improved so much as a run blocker this year. He got so much hell for that the first few years. I think he's been pretty solid this year.
I think he caught hell because he didn't have anybody that actually could show him how to do it. I think Linda Wells, the coach, I think has done a really good job with those guys. But those young kids are when it comes to run blocking, they get after it. They're in the middle of, they're getting after it. And I think that Schultz sees that. He doesn't want to be a guy that's up on tape that's not doing his job. There used to be a time they put him on the front side. He couldn't block me. And then you put him on the backside. He couldn't block you on the backside. You know what I'm saying? So, I kind of feel like, though, that they are, they're in that mode right now where those young tight ends are really helping him.
You are listening to the Love of the Star podcast. The Love of the Star is an Odyssey podcast. You can find it on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Brian, we did have the news breaking on Monday. A little bit sneaky news.
You knew it. You knew it. You had it.
I had a sense.
You had it. You called me at 12:30. What time did Rappaport and those guys break it? 1:30? You had it an hour before.
At 3.
3. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, folks, Bobby Belt had this news at 12:30. He told me I was pulling into a parking lot to do a radio remote. Bobby says, "Hey, man, they're going to sign T.Y. Hilton." And I should have just tweeted it out. And I'm thinking, man, I can't do that to Bobby. I can't steal his thunder like that. But, yeah, Bobby had it. You had it wired, bro. Great job.
It was just when you start hearing when
your sources helped you on that one.
They did. Because look, to be completely honest, pull back the curtain. Cowboys did not want that one stirring around out there. They wanted that one to be quiet. I got a little lucky knowing that one was coming down the pike today. But T.Y. Hilton, this is big news because they do go sign a multi-time Pro Bowl wide receiver who's got an injury history and is into his 30s. It's just not the one that we all were thinking. It's not Odell Beckham. It is T.Y. Hilton. He will have a chance to earn up to $1.5 million the rest of the way based off of roster incentives and playoff incentives and things like that. So he can make a nice chunk of change for this final, potentially 8-9 week stretch. But Brian, we look at this signing and there's obviously questions about his durability and everything else. He's always been kind of an undersized guy, but man, you remember how just great Amari Cooper was playing when they first traded for him here in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
That same stretch, a guy going like stride for stride with him, playing just as good, putting up just as ridiculous numbers at that time, was T.Y. Hilton. So We're talking about T.Y. Hilton's just a few years removed from being just as, insanely productive as Amari Cooper was when he first got here. So there's a lot that T.Y. Hilton can add here. He can stretch the field. He's got a lot of speed. I think he's an adept route runner. That'll help with some
really good against zone coverages too.
This will help them with some zone looks. So I think there's some benefit here. And the biggest thing for T.Y. Hilton over Odell Beckham Jr., he can play this year. That's the biggest thing. And that's one of the things I think the Cowboys were trying to figure out today is that same question. Can you play now? Like Odell Beckham couldn't. Can you play now? And I think the Cowboys felt comfortable about the question. But, Brian, your overall thoughts on the addition of T.Y. Hilton?
Yeah, I talked to a couple of guys around the league. My guys that watch tape, the general managers, the guys and gals, the directors of player personnel, scout buddies I have, they feel like this guy could still play. I mean, they were talking about a vet that can play multiple positions, multiple spots. They feel like he's still got some juice in that body of his. And the one statement I got from a buddy of mine is he's a pro in every sense of the word. So that's encouraging. Another scout buddy was telling me, like, listen, this could be a lightning in the bottle kind of situation. You're absolutely right. This guy suffers from soft tissue injuries. That's kind of been a little bit what's hampered him these last few years. He's had to deal with those injuries. But my guys were saying, listen, he's had the whole season really not having to do anything. So hey, this could be that guy that I was talking about, like Odell Beckham, that on the 4th and 3, the underneath stuff, the routes, the quick passing the ball, get him the ball in space, bunch formation, scatter. He's coming across, catch the ball, get up the field. This is the type of guy I was talking about. Now, Ed Werder from ESPN was talking about, hey, this still means that they could be going after Odell Beckham. I was thinking, I don't know, man. I don't know about that.
I don't think now. I don't think
now. I love Ed. I really, really do. But man, I just couldn't. I was shaking my head. I was like, no. They, now what does this mean, Bobby? Does this mean something for James Washington? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
does it mean something for James Washington? Does it mean, they come up with one of those mysterious injuries for Jalen Tolbert to stick him on IR for the rest of the year?
Yeah, there you go. I was trying to think about, this time of year, you don't want to be making a bunch of moves. Maybe you're trying to tinker with some things, practice squad stuff you can do. But yeah, with T.Y. Hilton, hey, cool. This guy's an explosive player. Let's just hope he can stay healthy, because I think they could benefit from him being on the field.
I referenced a little bit earlier that when Amari Cooper was traded here to Dallas, that T.Y. Hilton started popping off around the same time. This was week 11 of 2018, right when Amari was really starting to take off here in Dallas. This is what T.Y. Hilton did over 6 games. 9 catches, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Titans. 7 catches, 125 yards against the Dolphins. 8 for 77 against the Jaguars. 9 for 199 against Houston. 5 for 85 in that Dallas game where they got shut out in Indianapolis. And then the following week, 7 for 138. So this is a guy who's been really, really productive and played at a high level. That's a 6-week stretch where he was averaging about 130 yards per game. So this is a guy who's been really explosive and put up some really good numbers, in the not too distant past. And so the question is now, he is 33. He does deal with the soft tissue stuff. And honestly, the way you described it almost sounds like receiver version of Sean Lee. And so that's obviously a little bit of a concern. But overall, I think that this is the much more practical move compared to Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. is like I said, I think that would have been the owner and general manager falling in love with a player. If you want somebody to do what you envision Odell Beckham doing, there's a better chance T.Y. Hilton can do that this year.
This is going to sound strange, but tell me if I'm wrong. If Cole Beasley hadn't burned so many bridges along the way, this might have been the Cole Beasley move.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This might, if Cole Beasley would have left here and everybody would have felt, man, Cole Beasley, what a guy. Maybe to me, it's the same type of player. It's the same slot guy, little guy, catch, run, go fast, that kind of thing. So that's kind of where I am with this thing. And if he can help them on those key plays, those key 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 3s, when they throw the football, jet sweeps, whatever they have to do to get him the football, I think this is the good thing to do.
Okay, obviously we'll have a better sense of this as we go on, but just your initial thoughts when you hear what kind of guy they signed here. What do you think this is easy? T.Y. Hilton's your number 3 receiver now, or do you think 3 is probably still Noah Brown's job? T.Y. Hilton's here for specific packages, a certain amount of work, maybe more like 12 to 20 snaps as opposed to being a 40 snaps guy.
Kind of wonder what's happening with Turpin. They don't want to play. And maybe they got some stuff that they're saving for playoffs or late December, Philadelphia. I don't know.
I do think they have some stuff. They may choose not to use it, but I do think they have some stuff that if they choose to deploy it, I think they've got stuff for them.
See, I was kind of thinking, little guy packages and stuff like that. That would be Turpin. But, we'll see with T.Y. We all owe Noah Brown an apology, by the way, because Noah Brown, all he heard about was us talk about Odell Beckham, and his job. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, bring Odell in here. Yeah, bring Odell." Noah Brown, I don't think ever said anything, and all Noah Brown did was go out and make big plays for you yesterday. I know
oh gosh,
the interception and all that.
The one catch on the final drive was insane.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. And the 51-yard pass where he came back to the ball, that was
he made the play Gallup didn't.
Yeah,
he made the play that Gallup didn't on the first drive.
See, that's to me, we say a lot about Noah Brown, and we always kind of kick him in the junk a little bit. But the guy, he will show up and make plays for you. He will do that, and you got to give him some credit for that.
What did you see from James Washington? Because I mean, I know you and I
2
both
plays.
I know you and I both had the sense they were going to try and take some opportunities.
I thought they were going to take some deep shots with him. Nothing. Now, that's why I wonder if the T.Y. Hilton thing is, you swapping out receivers. I mean, they waited a long time for the James Washington thing. They waited and waited and waited. And I'm wondering if they're like, T.Y. Hilton's ready, and they swap him and James Washington out, because I think if they signed Odell Beckham, that maybe they're not getting James Washington completely ready to play. I don't know. I'm sure somebody will hear this podcast over there and send me a text message and tell me I'm an effing idiot for even insinuating that.
I don't think you're totally wrong though, because they clearly sat back, and it wasn't until
they didn't do anything quick. I mean, the guy was ready to play, right?
James Washington had said for 3 weeks he was ready. Yeah. And then they didn't do anything with him until Odell Beckham was out of the picture. Right. And then they see him for 1 day, and immediately they go, "Hey, Katz brothers, come on in. Yeah. Let's get this thing done at the start of it." They did it in a hurry. Man, they got it done in a hurry.
I wonder. This is where I wonder if they're shifting guys in and out. Shifting, I said, not
you did
shifting guys.
Yeah. No, and it is interesting.
Robert.
I wasn't. One of the big things I think that matters here too is I believe they did, from what I can tell, I think they did get that workout from T.Y. Hilton that they weren't able to get Odell.
They did. They absolutely got the workout. They sure did.
And that matters to them. They go, okay, we look at the medical, we get the workout, we have a good feel for everything. I think they got all the questions answered that Odell Beckham wouldn't give them.
I agree.
And I think that's why T.Y. Hilton's here. But
I agree.
You are listening to the Love of the Star podcast. The Love of the Star is an Odyssey podcast. You can find it on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Brian, it's now time to transition over to the Love of the Star, Dean Julia mailbag.
Love it.
Yeah.
Hey, wait. Did I learn today that today is Dean Julia's birthday? Same day as mine, right?
You guys are birthday brothers.
You know what, Bobby? Let's do him. Let's give him a present.
I
bet you he's got a question for us.
He does. I think he has a couple.
I bet he's got a couple of questions for us.
He does. All right, let's get a Dean Julia question here, because there were a few of them. He had a couple up here. We'll go with this one. Dean says, why did it feel like the Texans defense was the 85 Bears in terms of hard hitting? Multiple hits. I'm just triggered to look for a flag, and there wasn't one. Did they show this type of physicality on tape? Which, by the way, this was not a flag-happy crew yesterday.
It was funny. It was funny.
You had 2 false starts on the final drive.
Yeah.
Before. One moment, Brian. So did they show that to you on tape, Brian, that kind of physicality?
I'll tell you what, man, I didn't know. I didn't see that. I mean, that Jalen Petrie will play now. They've got some guys that will play,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Petrie had 13 tackles.
I think it was 14.
Yeah, he was great.
I tell you what, man. But yeah, that's the linebackers, they were listed as 17-point dogs. You don't think that somebody like walked in there and said, man, they think they're 17 points better than us. And somebody probably said, well, they are 17 points better than us. Well, I don't think they are. I mean, these guys got some pride. They got pride. And look at the 1989 Cowboys that beat, then the Washington Redskins, late in the year. One team was clearly better than the other. It's the only win they had all year. Sometimes you have pride in these things, and I to me, the Texans are they talent poor in a lot of areas? Yes. But there were several, every one of those players that we talked about in our breakdown end up playing well for them. They really, really did. So the Texans came to try and win a football game. They should have, but they didn't because of the Texans. They're 1-11-1.
You're not on that.
You're not. You've won 10 games. You've lost 3. You should have lost the damn Green Bay game. That's one that you look back on, and that might be the one that gets you. When everybody else in the division beat Green Bay but you. That's the one you need to hang your head about.
Question here from Anthony Flores. Was the lack of the pass rush due to the Texans running a lot of quick passes, or are we seeing them hit the wall? I'll say there was a whole lot of read option stuff. There were some boots and some different things. I think they did a good job of
that change of quarterbacks was brilliant. Yeah, that was brilliant. That one way.
Mark Sanchez as soon as they came to Driscoll, Mark Sanchez on the TV broadcast said something like, well, now we can talk about this cat's out of the bag. So this was definitely their plan because they gave the Fox crew heads up and said, sit on that. Don't talk about it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was brilliant.
Oh, brilliant plan. And Driscoll was good enough. I mean, he was good enough throwing the ball. He had the touchdown pass. It was a good throw. And then, Davis Mills, it wasn't terrible. Great throw. I think the throw that beat that beat our guy down there, beat Joseph, that looked like a ball hit the ground. Yeah, Dean Blandino.
Even Blandino said it was.
Blandino's like the ball, and that's what I'm talking about. These officials, you guys listen to me. You're not going to correct penalties because of these guys make calls and decisions that you have no control over. You have no control over some of the stuff these officials do. So, the Cowboys have not been penalized much in the last 2 games. Thank God. But you're at the mercy of these officials. You really are, because they make decisions that affect your game. They do. They make decisions that affect your game. And so, you got to live with some of this crap.
Next question here from Stacy, one of our loyal listeners here in the Dean Julia Love of the Star mailbag. Brian,
Stacy's a good listener. Good Twitter follower too.
He is. Stacy says, my only question for the Dean Julia mailbag is a simple one with probably a bit of a simple answer. Can we trust this team? What do you think?
Stacy, happy holidays.
After 26 years, I don't think you can trust this team until you see them do anything. And so that's kind of how I feel about it. We can feel good about them, but I don't know that you'll ever be able to trust them until we see them do things in the playoffs that they haven't done for 26 years.
I trust Dan Quinn.
I do too.
I trust AD. I trust Joe Witt. I trust George Edwards. I trust those guys on defense. Hell, I'll even trust Bones Fossil at times, with the stuff that they've been able to do. But the thing with, what scares me a little bit about with Kellen Moore in that game, I think it was really easy for him early. It was tick, 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 tick down the field kind of a thing, and everything was good. And like you said, you got the 3 and out and they punt to you and you had a chance. That could have been a 14-0 game quick if you don't muff that punt. So I want to trust Mike McCarthy because I think Mike McCarthy's done a good job. San Francisco is a team right now that's going to try and have to win games with a backup quarterback. And that kid looked great when he came in last week, and he looked great against the Buccaneers. So that's a guy we liked. I know I liked him. I talked about him on every platform I've been on. I've had people fight me about the guy. You do not have the success they had at Iowa State just showing up being Iowa State. That kid played a lot of big games and kept you in the top 25, had you up like at 6th, 7th in the country. I challenge you to go in there, other than Breece Hall. I challenge you to go into Iowa State maybe a receiver somewhere that we looked at along the way.
Yeah, they've got an edge rusher coming out this year that's pretty
That's
good.
what I'm saying. There you go. There you go. Okay, but that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like going in and watching Mississippi State when they were number 1 in the country and Dak Prescott was playing quarterback, and you're going, where are all these first round? No, the quarterback was the guy. The quarterback was the reason why. So anyway, do I trust? I want to trust Mike McCarthy will tell Kellen Moore what needs to be done. That's my trust. Because I think if they get into the playoffs and they've won 12 or 13 games and they go and play Tampa, say, because they don't win the division,
right,
and they get beat by maybe a team like Tampa that's under 500, the trust for all these guys, I mean, I could see a big bloodletting of this football team with the coaches, and maybe it's the defensive coaches, maybe it's Dan Quinn, but I could see if they go out there and lay a big egg in the postseason first round against, say, a Tampa team that might be under 500, you're going to see some changes.
Somebody has to answer for that. You can't just
absolutely
run
it. Might be Kellen Moore. It might be Kellen Moore. Yeah, might be.
Absolutely. Next question here from Jonathan. What's your gut feeling on the starting offensive line when Tyron gets back? I'll tell you, one of the questions I have for Jerry tomorrow when we interview him, or today when you're hearing this podcast, when we get a chance to interview Jerry on 105 through the Fan, I want to know if he thinks Jason Peters can play 60 snaps every week for the rest of the way. Does he think that's realistic? Or
I think Mike McCarthy was asked that question on Monday.
Yeah. And
he was giving it like the okay. Yeah, I think it'd be fine.
Yeah, and so I'll be interested. Right tackle, I don't think they're going to put Tyler Smith out there. I think this is probably Josh Ball or Jason Peters, which I know Ball had his moments, but like I know, for instance, you didn't think he was terrible.
I didn't think he's terrible. I watched it, and McCarthy came out, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's BS," because McCarthy has to defend him. If you have a chance to watch the All-22, check it out. I mean, it was not terrible. I mean, I've seen worse offensive linemen playing in the league right now, but the two plays, they almost lose the game. Sure. Absolutely. Yes. He recovered a fumble on one of them. That saved you right there, So, I mean, I don't know. I wish they would play Tyler Smith at right tackle and use Peters and Ball as swing guys, and if you have to give Tyler Smith a little bit of a break, then Peters can go in there and play a little bit for him, but I don't know about, I mean, the one thing I will give this team credit for, and I said it on the postgame show, if by playing Jason Peters a little bit every game, it helped them. They were able to function well. If he's sitting the whole year and he gets no work, and now he has to come in a week 14 game with kind of maybe rust and all that stuff, that could have been like Ball.
Yeah.
But by him getting work every week, they had him ready to play. And I think that's a very smart play on their part.
Here's my question for the Dean Julia Love of the Star mailbag. Do you think there was anything to, given how poorly they played at times yesterday, anything to the fact that they didn't have any padded practices leading into the game?
A little cavalier, huh? A little cavalier on their part. Yeah. This coach is big on health.
Yes.
Big on health.
Yeah, and then everybody got hurt.
And then everybody got hurt.
Yeah,
everybody got hurt.
It's just it's a little bit interesting.
Week 14 padded practice. No.
This makes you wonder.
No. They had problems with the flu and stuff, though. They've had people being sick.
That's last question here from Lou. He's asking, is it possible that the flu sickness that has been with the team since before Thanksgiving is part of the reason for some of these slow starts? Do guys look fatigued? Do you see guys out there who it's like, man, they just maybe that's the Micah factor?
It's a possibility, but man, it's like I see some like horse-s plays going on too. Seriously. There's that screen. The screen. Why do they even try and run a screen anymore?
I don't know. Every single one of them ends for negative.
They might if they're practicing screens, they're really not practicing screens. How do you? Every screen they've ever run looks like ass. and so if it's flu, whatever, slow starts, whatever, practicing, whatever, but man, there's some, I think the reasons really for the more slow starts is because they get it, they don't get the rhythm. Man, that first drive they had the game yesterday, when they scored that touchdown, I was thinking they're going to beat these guys by 40. Yeah. That's what I thought.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, they played cover 2 in that game and played it great the whole game until the last 3 minutes of that football game. And that's why they're the Texans in there. What's their record, Bob?
1-11-1, but they should be
damn right they are.
They should be 2-10-1 because they should have beat you yesterday.
They're not.
But they should have been.
They're 1-11-1 because they're the Houston Texans.
Hey! If you can say the Cowboys should have beat the Packers, I can say the Texans should have beat the Cowboys yesterday.
You're going to look back at that Packer game and you're going to wish, up 14 and you lose. Ooh.
Here's what I need. Here's what I need. I need the Cowboys to feel good about where the Cowboys are at heading into Philly. I need them to beat the Jaguars by 2 touchdowns next week. Do that and I'll feel better. That's what I need, Brian.
This game's gonna be tough, bro.
I know it will be, but I need at least a 2 touchdown victory to feel better about what you did against Houston.
Might be hot down there, man. You never know.
Muggy, man. Well, I think forecast says it's supposed to be like 50.
Oh, good.
But it's always muggy there, regardless.
I lived there for a year, man. Watch out, Bobby. Don't get hit by lightning when you go down there.
Lightning's
bad down there. Yeah.
Who knows? If I keep praising the Texans, maybe lightning will come find me. That does it for us here on the Love of the Star podcast. Happy birthday once again to Brian Broaddus and to Dean Julia.
Yes.
And we will talk to you guys again later this week.